Yeah.
Let's begin the night with our discussion segment. Does this mean I'm hosting? Am I hosting?
Yes.
I think you're
what
hosting
it
it. Yeah.
feels
I'm
like.
pretty sure that's how.
Yeah,
it works.
okay.
I think that's how it works.
Hey, happy Halloweenies, though.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Happy Halloweenies.
Yes. We're all dressed up, kind of.
Yes.
Explain ourselves.
I'm not sure. I mean, well, the next segment is what the fuck is up with that.
okay.
Okay,
So
so we
is
start
this
with that.
is that a gentle segue into what we're wearing?
I mean,
Sure.
isn't it so obvious who each one of us are?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So I don't know why we need to tell people.
They're excellent, just like jokes.
Good point. Moving on.
Just like jokes you spend 20 seconds explaining after the fact.
No, those
Yeah.
that's the best kind,
Those
yeah.
are the best kind of jokes.
It's
That's
true.
what you learn in comedy.
You're just Robbie on Saturday, right?
Not kind of. I'm actually feeling a little bit tricked in this episode because you guys told me high concept, low effort. So I made a book and I have a map and a backpack and I'm supposed to be a liberal arts major who just got back from a semester in Italy.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's really working.
Just can never put the book down.
But I'm like real person, low effort. You guys are Critical Role. You're wearing a wig. You
I am.
are very.
What are you talking about?
This is a real costume
This
to
is
me.
how I just cut my hair today.
This is a lot. This side,
I really wanted
just
to
look
try
like
something
I'm an Apple Watch, guys. Here, look. Ready for the bit?
Yep.
Done. Or I'm in Caddyshack. But this side of the table is so much. There's so much information.
Yeah, what are you dressed as?
I am not a bee.
Wait, I want to guess. Are you Fritz or Kurt from the Von Trapp family? Are you Ralph Wiggum? Are you a fusion of you and Taliesin Jaffe?
I know.
You-
Wait, what did you say earlier? You said I look like Taliesin Jaffe's childhood?
You look
Or
like
child actor?
Taliesin Jaffe cosplaying. You look like you're cosplaying as Taliesin Jaffe dressed as Ashley Johnson.
Oh, but auditioning
Well-
for a Trix commercial in 1989.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I've got it.
I am, wait, what is it again? I'm a B movie, not Jerry Seinfeld.
You're a B movie,
so
but
that
not
means
the B movie.
I am Macaulay Culkin in My Girl. Get it?
Who?
Spoiler alert.
There are bees.
There are bees.
There
in
are
it.
bees.
And even when I asked for clarification on the joke, I had to ask twice because I didn't understand.
Perfect.
It's a B movie because I was like, hey, My Girl's not a B movie. I love that movie, but there's bees in it. And then I didn't understand the Jerry Seinfeld part, but he was in a B movie as well. So Matt,
Yes.
what are you?
I am someone with strong opinions of The Last Jedi. No, I am. I'm the prompt was Swordguy, and you know while you were off getting laid at parties and drinking, I was learning the way of the sword and the other way of the sword.
It's so spot on. We know this guy.
I've really worked hard on this show to up the stock of fedoras, and I feel like you're just tanking the stock right now.
Yeah.
Can't tank what's at the bottom, baby. Sorry, my baby.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I love it.
My! But we're here to hang out and chit chat
We're
and
here to hang out and chit chat.
and have a chill show, right? Because you guys go big on Halloween. Yeah.
Extremely chill.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for the episode of the game where we dress up, we're being a little more labor intensive
That's true.
A little bit, yeah.
than this.
That's a book.
You look far more comfortable than any of us, though.
Yeah, you're the winner.
Well, I am leaning on a backpack. We'll see how long it lasts.
That's valid.
All right. Well, let's talk about the show a little bit.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is really why people tuned in is to see your
hold on a
My
second.
Girl outfit.
Hold on.
Okay, go on.
I got to take a call. Hold on a second.
Are we allowed to use that?
Okay. No, false alarm. Go ahead.
Wait, are you still the Apple Watch? Is that what's happening here?
No, that's
Wait, I don't get
insane.
it.
Hold on a second. I got to take a call.
Okay.
Hello? Wait, hold on a second. Hello?
Man.
Wait, one sec. It's just a second longer.
Hey,
Hello?
stop this.
Hey, wait a sec.
Stop this madness.
I can't talk right now. I'm washing apples. Yep. Yeah, on the show. Yep.
I cannot.
Okay. Cool. That was Apple Help.
Apple Care? Apple Help?
Yep.
You must stop this. Your universe, Keith Baker, does not abide by this.
Oh, boy.
This is
Is there
already great.
Is there any more structure to this? I
No,
don't know.
I think we're
I
done.
think that's it.
You
Thank all
guys
for
gave me
coming.
about
Yeah.
as much notice as being the host as you did what outfit I was supposed to
Yeah,
wear.
that's what we do here.
Okay.
We like to
What's up?
keep each other on our toes.
Let me just put down the map of Barcelona and
Barcelona.
look and see what we've got here.
What's on the menu, boy?
We're supposed to talk about stuff.
This guy.
Let me see if I've learned to read yet. Fae fighting with Fern's fam. It's alliteration.
Woo!
I think that's what we're supposed to be in. We're going to talk about the memory mods a little bit right off the
Yeah.
bat.
How do we feel, guys?
Yeah.
Well, we had such a well orchestrated plan going into all of that, and then came out of it and still breathing, I suppose. Don't look to me for answers.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of, we did have a plan, but that
I was
went,
hyper focused on the plan.
Yeah, so
All
was I.
3 episodes.
You did your part.
I was hyper focused on
Yes.
the plan where I almost couldn't get out of the plan, but then when it wasn't going well, I was like, we have to pivot.
Yeah, it was
We
like
got to
some-
do something else.
It was like someone put you in a box.
Yes.
Like some kind of cage.
Yeah, it was
like some
like,
kind of force
"Oh, I'm
cage
stuck
where you
here.
I can't get out.
Yes.
It was like you were in a Von Trapp.
It was like I was in a Von Trap. I really should have spoken to the manager. That's what I should have done.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
But actually we had to mess with those guys' minds in order to
Yeah.
get our kind of get our mission done.
Boy, it's funny because in the last campaign, the previous campaign, just because the framing of the narrative, like my character, Caleb Widowgast.
Who's that?
Caleb Widowgast.
Oh, okay. I'm not caught up.
He's an Apple watcher. His whole life was fucked by memories being modified. So memory modification had a stank on it for the whole campaign. Maybe rightfully so. But this time we're like, we've got to get the job done. Didn't matter. Different framing or fuck Widowgas. We like the fate of the whole planet is on the line. So I guess just we're gonna get in there with a whisk and make whatever
Whisk that shit up.
recipe happen that we need to have happen.
Isn't it kind of weird though how like when you're playing a game, the things that you can do in the game are like, you know, fun and silly and goofy, or objectively horrible. You can throw someone into a giant ball of flame. You can throw them off a cliff. You can stab them with your sword. But then some things we find objectionable based on like our root humanity, and somewhere in your head you're like, it's wrong to mess with someone's reality.
Yeah.
Like that is maybe
like it.
more objectionable
Yeah.
than just throwing them into, like, freezing them until they burst into pieces.
Never feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the surrounding context because we've seen someone get hit by a fireball and have it be like, oh no, and we've seen someone get hit by a fireball and it's hysterical.
Yeah.
It depends on it depends on if the moment is Tom and Jerry, or No Country for Old Men. Just depends on the day, I guess.
Yeah. I try to watch those back to back whenever they come on. Just
It's a good,
real palate
good
cleanser.
side by
Weirdly
side.
enough,
Yeah.
shared universe.
Not enough people know.
I know. Just letting you guys
They better
know.
an alien.
Go back and look. The clues have been there the whole
You'll
time.
see it.
You go back and you just see that air tank with the grown-ups' feet as they walk around.
I got you a new toy.
As a few Tom and Jerry characters didn't show up after a few episodes, and you wonder.
What happened to Spike the dog?
Got spiked. But we succeeded. I have to know though, Matt.
Yes. What?
Have you ever rolled better as an NPC than when you were rolling that night? And it was against his own self-interest. You were like a politician of rolling. You were just getting him to slowly kill himself based on his own rolls.
No, I want to look. Fates are sticky when it comes to magic, and I didn't I didn't know what plan you guys were gonna go in there. The whole point of a GM for me is like to set up challenges and maybe think of a few possible, victory conditions, but largely just leave it open and see what you guys come up with, and that excites, me as a GM. And then sometimes the plan is a really solid plan, and then the crux of it lies on an opponent that you accidentally made extremely resistant to magic, and you have to sit there and hold them down and try until eventually you're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, I'm in your guys' corner, but also that's how the rules of the game go, and I don't want to ever bend that. So it's like, yeah. And then I don't know why I rolled so well.
You really did. That was crazy.
I showed you, I was like, look.
Yeah.
As a player, I was crushed. The emissary was my boy.
I know.
I thought he was our linchpin. He was our key.
Some rough shit happened in this string of
There's been a lot of stuff
chapters.
that has not felt good to do.
No, not at all. I know there's different things we want to talk about here. I don't know whether they're talking about all at the same time, but taking out Fern's dad, just soul crushing. Making it to the arch heart and having been like, it doesn't really matter. Everything you've been doing doesn't really matter. We'll just split.
Yeah.
While another god 7 seconds ago was like, take this and fight. Like, it just feels like the floor went whoosh.
Yeah. Yeah. No idea what to do. I still don't know what to do.
Guess that's the end of the episode.
But I guess
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Worst host of all time. It's over in 10 minutes. Well, speaking of something that was potentially painful, Nana and Breus.
Damn.
That hookup
That was
was
awesome.
unexpected?
It
or
was
was
unexpected.
Or was it? I don't know.
I don't know. Sam sees a challenge and likes to tackle it, so.
It's true.
Wasn't that surprising to me, but it was delightful. I just want to know how things worked with the two faces.
I spent a moment contemplating and realized I have far too vivid of an imagination and had to back away. I was like, nope, this is going to be one of those great mysteries of life that I will keep on the outskirts of my brain.
Yeah, I have so many
I
questions.
think
I'll
of a
just
couple things for
keep
sure.
them in my head.
I have answers, don't worry.
I have answers.
I trust Danny.
I've already been writing.
Yes, give me the smut, Danny.
Oh, man.
Back that thing up.
Clip
Yeah.
clop, clip clop.
I wasn't expecting that sort of a dynamic with her, but also I love making Sam uncomfortable at his own place. Mm-hmm. It's fun.
But I also like the fight between Ira, Breus, not fight, but just sort of the
Rivalry.
vying for her attention, which was a fun little bonus. That
Oh
we
yeah,
got to
she's a queen,
witness.
man. Moira's
Yes,
a queen.
she is.
She owns her realm. She's great.
Yes.
Breus should be lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. He should be.
Maybe she'll add him to the wall someday. But like his backside.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just other parts.
Yeah.
You can't see this, can you?
No.
Because that was the perfect segue. No, my God. Oh, no. You can watch the apples, but you shan't watch me. Let's talk about Zathuda and his recent makeover. What do we
Dang,
think?
Matt.
That was freaky.
That was so cool. It was fucked up, and it was everything that I feel like I would ever want Nana Mori to do, and in that world that was just like, it was so dark, and I loved it.
What's funny is I had written in the breakdown of Ligament Manor in the basement is where she kept her loom, and that's all I wrote about it. I didn't know what it was going to be until we got there.
You're just
Oh my
winging
God.
it day out.
Yeah.
But that sounds like the start of like a great like horror short story, where that's just like the first sentence. In the basement of Ligament Manor is where she kept her loom.
Yeah.
And that's enough. You can write a whole short story based off of that, and you did just on the fly.
Yeah, in a horrible, horrible way. I should get therapy. I realized.
Did you have? Did you have any idea that that's where you were gonna take it?
I know since the previous game had kind of revealed that. Oh no, because he was still alive at the top of that game, and so I didn't. It wasn't until he, in trying to escape, was killed on the way to the Ligament Manor. So I was like, okay, well, they're not going to be able to chance to interrogate him alive. unless they really want to try and bring him back. And the consensus was, nah, we'll leave it up to Maury.
It was a very fun way to explore all that stuff, and it's one of the things that I love about you because I've said this 100 times. You're one of the most like empathetic, kind, patient, giving people that I know. But there's also just this strange, like rotten-brained gremlin that lives inside a cage at the back of your head. Of just like the most strange, bizarre horror and weirdness.
You know, I've loved Alien and Predator since I was 8, which explains a lot. And I was very much raised on like dark themes and dark horror, fantasy and sci-fi media, and I love exploration of terrifying, nightmarish things. And I don't mean like grotesque gore things. Like, you know, I can appreciate that to a point, but I'm not like a big torture porn horror film fan at all. Eli Roth can kiss my ass. And it's on video. Come for me. I'm ready with 2 swords.
He doesn't stand a chance.
Trust me. I've been studying since I was a child. Yeah, like I've always loved like that kind of darker, grim fairy tale aspect of the, you know, the Fae. And I even the Unseelie is dark, but it's very like classically the dark mirror to the Seelie Court and like the light and the dark Fae. But Maury sits, and Ira as well, sit in those like those weird or nightmarish outskirts that, in my opinion, are probably more terrifying than anything that Unseelie can create. And the fact that you made a character rooted in that space has just been a lot of fun to explore and show like how wonderful and colorful and welcoming and motherly that she can be. Should she have that sort of interesting connection, and then how terrifying she can be when it comes to her own devices and those that cross her.
God, I love it.
Which is so cool about Fern, that she's this like she's beautiful but so strange herself, and like this strange child raised by a very strange parental figure.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool. It's so fun.
I love it so much. I love it so much. It's such a weird little world that you've just put together. It makes me so happy.
Well, it's all based on what you put together too at the beginning. Like Fern's backstory, you like described part of her upbringing and some of the creatures she grew up with, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is exactly where I was hoping you were going to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had said early on when we were starting this campaign that you wanted to explore elements of cosmic horror and some body horror stuff and get into those darker elements, and like having a sequence like that and then like looking back on where we've been and like, you know, what we potentially have to face in the future. Do you feel like that's something that you've explored as much as you wanted, or do you feel like you've walked that path and strayed a little bit into more classic fantasy? Like, what do you think at this point?
I think, honestly, like a lot of the cosmic body horror stuff really got out in Campaign 2's crescendo.
Yeah.
In this, it's more cosmic horror in the sense of like the grandiose scale of cosmic horror, entities that are beyond the comprehension of the modern mortal mind, and kind of like the scale of where the gods are from, and the cosmology beyond just, you know, the ground floor perspective on reality.
So are you saying this shit and that getup is just...
Sorry. So as I was saying, it was more of an exploration of the cosmic facets of Exandria. I don't know if this is beyond you at all. Please let me know if you're starting to feel a little lost. We're talking of extremely intelligent, above-board themes. Much like Rick and Morty, you have to have a certain level of genius to really understand it.
Wow!
Don't do that to me.
We're exercising all the demons tonight.
Don't do that to me.
I don't give a shit.
It's Halloween.
I'm
Get it all out.
Let me distract with an actual question. So Papa Faye went down, and the dragon.
I've been waiting. I remember him.
Oh my goodness.
So Zathura went down, and Gloamglut scooped him up. Was Gloamglut about to blast off?
Yeah, he was going to grab him and flee with him.
Okay.
And he would have lived to another day and come back another point. Like that was, that's the thing too with the scenario that was set up here. The Fae are tricky, and not just like in their magical aggressions, but they're slippery. And so when any opportunity began to arise for them to try and escape through like their short form teleports and fleeing, like they were going to do so. And that's part of the challenge of dealing with a type of entity like the Unseelie. And so I was like, from thinking from their mindset, it was like seeing when they'd come to consciousness, utilize that moment, any moment that no one's paying attention to them, to try and vanish out, teleport, and flee. And that was when it came to him, and Gloomglut was just waiting on the sides for any sign of him leaving the temple. It was just like camouflaged in the nearby trees. And I was fully expecting, unless something crazy happened, that he was going to go ahead and get grabbed and then taken away, and then would have been just this looming threat or ally or whatever the hell you were turning him into as time went on, this weird dynamic that was building between the two of you. And then, and that's not how it went down. It was really like interesting and climactic.
A 400-year-old gnomish toy maker threw a chisel in his back. Isn't that what eventually took him down?
No,
on the sprint out?
No,
It was.
Well, no, the sprint
That
made
put
him
him
unconscious.
Then so he got knocked unconscious, and
Right.
what would have happened is he would have done death saves, but Gloomglut, everything about the last couple of episodes has just made Orym feel bad, sad, awful, like everything terrible. He was hyper-focused on Keyleth and the Ashari and all our allies and friends are about to go mount an assault on this place, and a whole second army is going to show up. So the whole time I'm thinking, can't let that second army show up. Everything was about making sure that this situation, this pushing back the unsealing, getting them to leave the situation happened. So the whole time I was like, nobody can leave, please. All the people who are smarter than me, please think of a magical way or a way to make this happen. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and it just kept seeming like someone was going to go, and I was like, that dragon is going to take him, and then I cannot control the message. I can't control what happens after this. So that's why, and I hated doing it, or Orym hated doing it. I hated it a little bit, but Orym really hated doing it. And then afterwards was just like, ugh. But the mission was to stop anyone from leaving. And they accomplished it at cost.
Quite a cost.
Quite a cost.
Yeah. It didn't feel good at all.
No.
That's kind of like part of the growing themes in a lot of this campaign too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when it isn't such a, good versus evil, easy division, and there are many different interests vying for kind of similar outcomes, and you yourself being put in the position to have to make those choices, how challenging it can be to come to a consensus, let alone to justify how much violence for the sake of the choice to be made or the protection of your friends. That was kind of the intent of a lot of this, and it makes for some really tough choices. And please, if it ever gets too weird or anything gets uncomfortable, like, once again, please let me know. But like, it's been really fascinating to explore these more muddled waters.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you do a great job of when we're balancing the table, not just for that being that many people there, but not just the combat, but giving everyone the opportunity for agency. And that to me feels like almost an immeasurable task, bigger than just making sure everybody, gets their moment to fight, or to make sure that the encounters are balanced. Like, that choice was in your hands for a moment. And then later on, it was, or earlier than that, I can't remember, struggling with the sequence of events when he was
Massive
running.
It was Chetney threw a chisel. He went
Knocked him
down
out.
unconscious.
Yeah.
He would have once around done death saves, but Orym immediately got 2 of his death saves off. Then it came up on his turn, and he rolled and failed the 3rd, and
Sure.
that was it.
Yeah, and then once we got him back, you had to make a choice too about what was to be done with him. And I think everybody at the table said, "That's your choice."
Yeah.
And I
Didn't know
could,
if we were going to try to bring him back somehow. Or...
nobody
didn't-
can make
yeah.
that choice but you. I think
That was so hard making that decision.
yeah.
So I'm like, well, what if there's an opportunity here to I don't know. There were so many possible ways that could have gone.
Do you think
I
your player brain and your character brain were competing in that moment?
Yes.
Because somewhere in the back of your head, you have to know. Maybe I could be totally wrong, but that Matt might have had a bigger plan for Dad. But as
well, that is something that
Yeah.
taking in where it's like, is there something here that Matt is planning a conversation? What's more, like, I don't want to cut off a narrative yet that I don't know if there's more to it, or which there could be, probably depending on what our choices were.
We wrote
But
that line for years, where
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, is there something that is expected to happen now?
Yes.
Or do I do this thing that my brain's like, this is what you do?"
yes,
and ultimately
Yeah.
you chose what Fern would choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
I was like, I know, I know he's not really a great guy. Like his intentions,
What do you mean?
at least, yes,
chill dude.
yeah.
I think you two would hang out. The
it-
Swordmaster
Yes,
and you.
Oh, yeah.
Does it help us all here and at home? Does it help us if we imagine Zathruda wearing this?
Yes.
I think so.
It does. It does. Much easier decision.
Actually, despite the swords, I think this guy might actually be relatively harmless.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. You should come up on the weekend and meet the rest of my polycule.
Oh, I immediately have to leave this party.
No, I don't want it.
Specify an
Hey,
unhealthy
this would be a
polycule.
perfect.
Yes.
Have to specify.
You're a character. I'm a character. Great time to change the subject. It's upside down, isn't it? Hey, let's talk about your papa's sweet dragon. Who's now,
Gloomnut.
for the moment, a good boy.
He's a good boy.
It seems that way.
He's a good boy.
Set him free.
Yeah.
It was so sweet.
I feel like, and Matt, the way you played him, and just like all of your noises of just like when he would you stretch his little jaw out, like he was such a perfect little creature. I just loved him, but it felt weird, sort of trying to keep him. I don't know. It didn't feel right. I know in the future, I'm sure we're going to regret not having something that powerful with us. But I mean,
Yeah, it could have been a helpful,
of course it would
And
have.
but at the same time, like what I saw in your face when you were going through this is like something that has been bound to service for war and violence,
Yeah.
and then an opportunity to kind of let it make
Like,
its
I don't
own
know if he
path.
wants to do it anymore.
Yeah, it was very, very sweet.
But you learned a little whistle, though, right? Like a little dragon, like a caw.
Yeah, it was like a
How'd that go again?
or I don't remember what it was.
There it is.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the one.
I know that dragon though for months or whatever time is in the Fae is going to like wake up in the night and be like, and look for his daddy and for you, and there's gonna be no one there. That's super sad.
No, but
Even
maybe
though it's a
not. He'll go
killer.
to his family and get to be a free boy and live and do what he wants to
Right?
do.
Maybe he'll mate with a waterfall and make babies.
You know what I do feel like really influenced my
Weird.
Yeah.
my decision on that? This has nothing to do with the game. But I watched Chimp Crazy. Does anybody watch Chimp Crazy?
No, it's Jim Crazy.
Chimp Crazy is a new documentary made by the guy who made Tiger King.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
And it's about chimps. I mean, we shouldn't keep these things. So I think there was a little bit of, there's like a story with that where it's like such beautiful creatures, but like not supposed to have them.
Nope.
Yep.
Kick your ass.
And so I was feeling that with Gloomglut. I was like, I love you, but you got to go be free. You don't need a master.
But you're so dialed into your character, though. That's so on brand. It's not outside of choice. And I have a unique perspective on this because I was away for a while. But for me, that is exactly the Fern that started out so innocent and whatever's led her to this point right now are the same two choices. We did. I was just forever ago, but it was in EXU. We were in some bowels of something. I think it was a boat or something, and we came across a horrible creature. Do you guys remember this?
I do.
It was some kind of like baby insectoid monster giant.
Yeah, it was in like a crate.
It was
like,
in a
cage beneath the.
Like a
Yeah.
basket.
Yeah.
And we had an opportunity to mess with it, and we never did.
like a
But all
baby in
you
prison.
wanted to
Onkag.
do, your first, what was it?
It's an onkag.
There it is.
Yes.
Your instinct was to let it free and make it your pet. And it was trying to murder us through the cages. And we all
he's
knew
just
we
a
weren't
baby.
leveled to deal with anything like that.
No.
But that
so Fern.
But
Yeah.
that
Very
Fern,
Fern.
that
Yeah.
was alive in you when you were just finding her,
Yeah.
it's still there
Still
in
there.
in nearing the end. So it's
Yeah.
it's awesome.
I think there's a lot of just, she was kind of kept in a bubble, and so she very much doesn't want anybody else to have to feel that, even just creatures around her.
Also, you love furry creatures, but you also love mandibles and what are other
yeah.
words? Proboscis, is that
I
word?
mean,
Antennae.
All of it.
Just-
I mean, I personally love animals so much. I think they're so funny. I think they're just it's so fun to watch. Anyway.
Talk about a seamless segue.
Watch Jim Crazy.
I think that moves us on to a new segment here, if my menu provides. I don't know what this is, so I might need some help. This just says Saving Laudna? Do we know what this is?
I think that
might be old. It's meant to be about the art chart.
an old title that didn't get changed. I think just go with the bullet points.
This is...
Okay. Listen.
I'm gonna...
Yeah, just go with the
It was
bullet
a
points.
special from another day. Special on the menu.
This
from
is
another
just
day.
like Comic-Con when you left Sam's name off of the scripts. I'm having flashbacks.
That was the best. I forgot about
Yeah.
Look, trial by fire.
great.
Come on, guys.
Yep.
We're saving Laudna.
I just spilled
We're
punch
saving
down
Laudna for
my
later.
shirt.
Oh no!
No, Denny!
Why did I come in here? Why am I here today?
You.
All right. So that means I need to come up with a new topic on the fly. These have all been alliteration, Fae fighting with Firms fam, memory mods. We're gonna do all about Abu.
Yay!
How about that one? That's the new sequence. Yeah,
sure
that's
that was
literally
better
the
than
next
what-
subject.
Yes, it is. Yay!
Arch heart eyes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
How great is he?
Where did that idea spawn from? When did it happen?
So it was actually a little over a month ago. It was after Downfall had happened, and we were just kind of talking and catching up afterward. And he was just like, he was so still like buzzing from the experience, and he was asking questions about the cosmology of Exandria and like where he would be today. And I was like, you know, well, here's kind of the things that are happening right now in modern day Exandria with Bell's Hells, and began to describe like the dynamic between like Predathos and the gods, and kind of what sort of experiences are shaping the gods now versus where they were then. And he kept asking a lot of very interesting questions and having interesting perspectives. And it would, each question he would ask for answer for me about how the Arch Heart would feel about things, I would say, well, how do you think they'd feel? And so as opposed to me just giving him answers, I was like, well, you've lived in his shoes for a bit, in their shoes. Like, you know, what would your perspective be as the Arch Heart on these events in history, and how this is happening and what this is? And he kept answering the questions in like a very meaningful way, and it kind of began to change my perspective on, you know, some of the dynamic with the gods currently, because, you know, I'm spending so much in the weeds of kind of larger scale things, and I have my ideas of where certain gods of the Pantheon sit on the scale of events happening, but talking with him about the Arch Heart post-Downfall, it opened up even more from what I had initially thought of, and I was like, okay. After like an hour and a half of talking to him and racking up way too long of a long distance bill, that Mercer got texted by him, was like, what the fuck is this, Matt? I was like, nothing.
Who are you talking to?
Sorry.
Is that your polycule in London?
Yeah.
He's never left the state.
Yeah. That's not true. I've been to Fresno. But at the end of this conversation, I was like, I have a weird thought. Were there ever to be a moment in the story where the Arch Heart would commune with Bell's Hells, would you be interested in coming in and running that? And he was like, don't even offer that. Like, they do not. Like, I would be there in a second. And I was like, good to know. And then the next day I talked to our producer Kyle. I was like, hey, so weird idea. And Kyle was super down for it, and it was about just getting the budget approved to secretly fly him out and let anybody know that was happening. Yeah. And just kind of keep him in the wings. And then me and him, we had lunch the day before for hours and just talked more on the state of the campaign and where things are. And it wasn't me telling him what he's supposed to say or do anything. It was me just informing him the details around it, and then asking him how he feels about it and where his position would be and where he would come in on this. And that's kind of where he came to it from the natural mindset of where he felt the Arch Heart would be in the story. And I was like, great. So then here's the only things you need to know about like the world where they are, where some of the characters, and the rest is up to you. And just kind of let the seat be his for an hour. And he was incredible.
And so brave, because there's a bajillion little nuances that Abu has not been privy to for all our time together at the table.
Yeah.
And some of us were poking him about those things that he knows nothing about, and he just rolled with it.
And
like a
what's
champ.
wild, he's never done that before.
Yeah, he's played.
He has
as a player.
played, but
many
he's
times.
never DM'd.
A lot.
Never DM.
Yeah.
Which is, he was amazing.
You gave him a great boon in a storytelling standpoint because you made your gods potentially omniscient but not omnipresent. So like if you were to give him a real the idea of a monotheist God that knows everything, then you'd have got a problem with him as your GM.
Right.
But you've got an isolated God that's got a perspective and a standpoint and enough knowledge to answer the thematic ideas, but doesn't have to worry about all the nuance of these players that are trying to poke holes in. So the granting him that from a storytelling standpoint, on like a position where you're at, where you have to be like the lore god as well as running the game, was a really kind thing to do, and he took it and was just rolled with it perfectly.
It actually played to the strengths of his god character, who all the time was just like, "Tell me more, darling."
Yeah, so great.
You know, we have a Santa Claus-sized sack of stellar, memorable moments from the history of Critical Role, but that is easily one of the highlights of the entire decade.
Yeah.
It was so shocking. It made no sense that he would be here in the States, didn't know how in depth or what it was going to be. Or what, you got up and I was like, looks like he's going to get a person. He's not going to get a person.
Yeah.
And his voice and his presence are incredible. It was such
His
a
voice
fun,
is so great.
fun moment.
Yeah.
I was backstage listening to him and like just kind of cheering on the whole time and just also being like,
Yeah, there is a little bit of that.
that warm hug of a vocal texture. Oh,
Yeah.
it was so fun, and it was, you know, there is a certain level of trust that goes in there, but he's also one of the people that like comes to such a point of respect and care, and has the right training from like an actor's perspective to know how to ask about, to build the tent poles of a character's perspective, and ask the right questions to fill the places he doesn't feel comfortable in, and ask for questions on how to feel comfortable stepping into a space like he did. And he just knew the right questions to ask, and we riffed for hours, and at the end of it was like, yeah, I think you're gonna be good.
And to be able to make that assessment too, and to be able to do it, you know, like most of us have, you know, been doing it literally our entire lives, but know a lot of actors, a lot of performers, a lot of creators, but to put someone in that position and ask them to do something like that from an improv standpoint, to do improvised scene work for an hour with a group of other people who do it all the time in the same, that is a massive, that I don't think.
In a universe where so many people care.
Correct.
About it.
Yeah, and to have him go in and not only hold his own, but hold the room in his hand is really, I mean, I cannot think of many people who could do it. No. It's an impossible task, and he crushed it. Yeah.
And I wouldn't have asked him. I checked in with him to make sure he was comfortable with it, because I was like, I know this is a big ask, and there's a lot of, you know, potential anxiety and concern around being put in this position. So it wasn't like me pushing him to do it. It was asking him if that was something he wanted to do. And at any point he felt any sort of discomfort, I'm like, please tell me, and either we can scrap it, or, you know, what can I give you to help you feel supported in this space? Very little was needed. He
reminds me of someone. I don't know who it is I'm thinking of, but someone.
I feel like I'm being watched.
Being birdwatched. Dorian was not a fan.
Dorian was not. Well, that was an impossible task.
Yeah.
Because not only was I in love with him in that seat, but the minute I saw him, he was in one of my favorite shows of the last 10 years.
Wait, and you hadn't met him at all?
No, I'd never met him before.
And you were
he was,
oh,
now,
okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, right? He was Father in Raised by Wolves, right?
So good.
So that show was one of my favorite. I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. That was one of my favorite shows of the last 10 years. I loved it top to bottom. I mean, I just thought it was so criminally underrated.
Really bummed when I got pulled.
Me too. I thought it was amazing. So when I first saw him on set before, I was like, oh, that's amazing that he's there. And then when he showed up in person, I was like, like I had that moment of like, yeah. And so, but it's a challenge because like we have to stay in character, and I'm like entranced by him, but like my character does, and I wanted to be open, but like I didn't like him, and I didn't like the things he was saying. Yeah. So I had to just stay in character. So afterwards I was like, I was like, I'm sorry, I was so mean to you.
You had some lines, dude. Dorian brought a fire, a combativeness, and
really
not just
cool.
an aggressive standpoint, but like a I'm going to challenge the logic of this God's perspective because I know why I don't believe what he's saying.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I love that complication to where like certain people will agree and see that perspective and others won't. And in the same group, what kind of interesting tension that will sow. And
Well, but in the end, it worked because in the end, once you got to the nitty gritty of the plan, as long as our loved ones, from my character perspective, as long as my loved ones got what they wanted and everyone was in agreement, then it feels like, well, maybe that's a fair deal.
Yeah.
But it's not my decision to make. But I could with a clean conscience go with that route because of what that God said, not because of who that God was.
Right.
So and that's a tough standpoint as a player and as a person when you're dealing with stuff with God. I try not to dip into the chats. I try to stay way out of it.
It's a good call.
But watching the discourse of people navigating their own conversations on the audience side about the relationship of gods, people conflating the idea of your gods with the idea of religion, with the idea of God, or whatever they may think, has really the conflict among the audience, I think, is a positive thing in a strange way.
I'm completely there for
I
it.
agree. It's so messy because people in the audience, just like us at the table, are bringing their perspectives on religion and God and existence, and sometimes they're able to like separate the two, and sometimes they're confusing the two, or putting the framework of the real world and like organized religion on mega space aliens visiting a planet. And I don't know that there's a right or wrong way to see it all, but it's such a weighty subject that it's hard not to be influenced by your already ingrained perspective, I think.
Yeah. I knew it would be.
It's emotional too.
Of course.
I think people have complicated
so.
relationships with whatever they view to be spirituality, and they can take that from their fiction and they can superimpose their own values on top of it, and then it's hard to separate that from the idea that maybe it's just a game. And then some people are like, they're talking about the gods too much. Or you're like, that's a big thing to talk about. Yeah.
It's a big theme of the campaign. I mean, like one of the overarching themes that I wanted to build with this was after establishing so much lore in Exandria and history, known history.
Sure.
It's the law of what happened. But like our history, it's an unreliable narrator because the people that write the history books are those that are in power.
Sure.
And so taking all these established facets of lore and then beginning to show cracks in it and show that maybe things aren't as you think. Maybe things are close, but they're different than you originally had anticipated. Sometimes they're completely off, and sometimes you have to reevaluate your place and ethics along with how history has transpired and those that have been in control. And like I think religion, I think faith is an incredible thing, and I don't think the gods are bad. And I'm not trying to kill off all the gods because fuck religion. I've seen like a couple of them. I'm like, no, not at all. I think faith is incredible. I am curious to see a world in crisis to this degree about where this is going to go, because in my mind there are multiple different paths that Exandria's future lies, and all of them have very unique positive paths that will be a lot of humanity and all the different people of Exandria wrestling with the new age. This is the end of an age in my head, like regardless of where this goes, like whatever happens here, things change. Sure. And regardless of how it goes, it's going to lead to a lot of interesting conversations. It's going to lead to a lot of societal shifts, outside of just getting back to returning the cycle to what it was and lock it all down, which is a possible path. Like something's gonna shift irrevocably.
What's the name of the artifact that Ludinus has? The
Occultus
the recording
Thalamus.
device. What was that?
The Occultus Thalamus.
Thalamus.
Okay. Imagine that in our real life, where we got a slice of life about something that happened from a religious text, and we saw it for real, and it was undeniable.
A year and a half lead up to the death of Christ and after.
Sure, absolutely.
If we got a video that showed
That'd be
us all
so
the things,
cool if
that would
that would change
send
everything.
the world up topsy-turvy.
Give me
Yeah.
3 days that happened right before the Buddha found enlightenment, and what he really did to get there. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, it could be anything.
Video of the Earth when it was created 6,000 years ago. Like, the sky's the limit
Yeah.
on what could happen.
Oh man, when they hid the dinosaurs underground to trick us all.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you have to get on the other side of the flat pancake to get that artifact there. Yeah, like I love those questions, and it can be complicated, and it can wrestle with a person's perspective if you overlap it onto the current discussions.
Sure.
And I don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah. But yeah, this is not a commentary on religion. This is not a commentary on those facets of faith. I love what faith can do and bring people, and I have that all throughout Exandria. But everything is complicated, and the gods of Exandria are not the gods of Earth, and they have their own unique paths and purpose in life, and we'll see where it takes them.
Yeah, it's more of an exploration of. I mean, it is what those things, but it's an exploration of history, like you've been alluding to.
Yeah.
I don't have your level of philosophical knowledge, sir, but
Well, you know.
No doubt.
but I think you've given us all an opportunity as players to make our own choices based on those things, and it's no surprise that we haven't fully aligned yet. But I don't know, the more info we get, we're getting there.
I keep going like this though.
Painful
Yeah.
onion to.
I can't.
Deal.
Speaking of which, we do potentially. This is a topic
On the topic of
I remember.
Okay.
It is. We do have a technical plan that we were offered, a pitch as players about what we can do, and you
Very adamant.
You are a stubborn little guy.
Orem is very adamant.
Yeah.
Well, no one can give him any assurances that it's like it's a bomb. It'll end the war. What happens where it drops? Like maybe it's a big maybe. Maybe that thing will come out and be like, I've just come for the gods, nom 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 nom, and then I'll fly off into space, and we're all just left going like this. But there is history, and there is recent record of massive, powerful entities stomping their ass all over the world, and many people dying. So it just doesn't seem believable to me, to Orem, that creation, that living creatures will get off scot-free if that thing is let out. So I mean, whatever happens, but that's where Orem's coming at it from.
But wait, that's Liam saying whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 I don't. But is Orem capable of that?
On a parallel note, I'm so glad that we got the moment of Fern's dad being turned into a throw blanket and talking to us. Like, that was an incredible moment. That's Liam going, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Orem was like, oh.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah. Whatever happens, happens. I'm cool to watch things burn.
I'm not gonna let you go on this one.
Okay.
I'm even gonna switch my legs.
Yeah.
He's gotta be hard my pores. What's it gonna take for Orem to stop digging his heels in? What's his bottom line costs? Like, I mean, like what is the bargaining chip that hurts the most for him? The idea of, is it just loss of human life? Is it just responsibility?
Yeah, but he's still, despite all the heartbreak of the past few episodes, his purpose in his mind is just a protector to Voice of the Tempest, protector to his friends in the Bell's Hells, protector to people who are small and alive like he is. So he's hearing so many people in Vantages of Power talking about like making promises and guarantees, and they're all conflicting. So how do you believe anything? So what feels the safest to him is maintaining what exists currently, which is not opening that can of peanut brittle, because you can't. There's no predicting what's going to happen, really. And the people who are trying to make it happen, they're doing really terrible, terrible things to make that happen. So, like, they're not helping their argument with that. You'd have to tell me, like, what's a thing that could... I am having trouble imagining a thing that could appear and convince Bell's Hells, like, with irrefutable evidence that Predathos is just a big, hungry, kelp-eating whale that would not bother the people of the world.
So back to the plan, though, that we were offered, the ability to control it. Does Orem think that's a pipe dream? Because you seem fairly resistant to that idea, too.
That's one entity telling us that. Other entities have told us, other gods have said opposing things. The Wild Mother has shown a scene of horror and then souped up the sword in his hand.
To do what with, in your mind? If you were given a weapon And how do you?
I mean,
how do you wield it? Do you wield it for the status quo?
What he took it to mean was fight to not let that thing unleashed again.
All right.
I was
Interesting.
like looking at Matt whenever you say stuff like this.
That's fun.
See if I can see a twinkle of anything.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not trying
you're
to
leaning into
solve
Travis territory.
Matt's puzzle. I'm just taking it as Orem reacts to things.
Yeah. No, it's curious, that insight a little bit. I know it's like this show is the ultimate like over the table conversation, but it's something that I've been wondering as a player next to you, and I'm not going to use this in my role play, but it's informative of the choices that you're making as a player, and I find it super interesting. But yeah.
Well, we know, we believe, like history tells us, and we've just finished saying history is not reliable, but the gods went apeshit and flattened the world. And just in the last couple of decades, a dude became a god and flattened huge stretches of the world. So there are just repeated things to look behind at and say anytime something of that magnitude just let loose, it was dreadful. And so I don't know why he's not supposed to think that it would be dreadful. They've only seen examples of existential crisis with things of this size.
So that does it for you, Mr. Steadfast. Miss Wild Cards. You're part of the plan too. What's Fernie think? Does Fernie think they can control Predathos with maybe the help of Imogen? Like, what do you think about the pitch that was offered to us?
Say
Imogen
again?
or Fern.
Imogen or Fern.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, I feel
Together
like-
or separate or potentially.
Either.
There has been a pitch from Imogen to sort of try to find a way to co-tame this thing.
Yeah, it'd be like this, right here.
Yeah, this.
Yeah. yeah.
The spit roast Predathos?
Walking out with Predathos.
Matthew.
Can you
Sorry.
wobbly
Blame
ancient
it on your
god?
outfit.
You should.
Jeez.
Man,
I don't like the sight of you, Matt.
It wasn't Italy, but I've seen an Eiffel Tower.
oh man.
Too much?
We're adults.
You started
it's
it.
fine.
I ain't judging.
Yeah.
I can't judge from this seat. Yeah, continue, please.
I feel like it changes who we talk to. Like what ideas I have, I'm like, okay, I think this is the right thing. And then we'll talk to somebody else and I'm like, maybe that wasn't the thing, maybe it's this. And then I think also after talking to the Archheart, I kind of feel like I don't even know if I want to say this. Maybe I will. Where I'm at right now, I feel like Fern is thinking, well, maybe we would be strong enough to take it in and be able to.
Hey, together anything's possible.
Together, the two of us could take it.
I believe it.
I think that we could really overcome and overtake. And I don't know how to not say anything
It's all
next coming
it's
out of
all,
my mouth
it's all,
without it
it's all
sounding a
over
certain
now.
way.
We're all children.
Yeah,
We're
we're all
up in
5.
the Temple of Laura Bailey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
The Archheart did say that it would be that it would require a sacrifice, though. How does Fern feel about potentially being that sacrifice?
I didn't remember that. Listen, I think, and I do feel like this about everybody in the party, that everybody is willing to be the sacrifice if they need to be for the betterment of the world.
And then I'll take that same question and say, and how does Dorian feel about potentially sacrificing Fern or Imogen or both for what he thinks is the better option?
Oh.
Oof.
Empty head, no thoughts.
See,
for
that
him.
does feel like even more of a sacrifice, saying like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with my friend being the sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's
Because
a harder.
it would be the way, at least the way that the Archheart talked about it. And Matt, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that he was talking about it, it seemed like it was that either lewdness might do this. He might be the vessel. Another exaltant might be the vessel that Ludinus then can control, or it would be Fern, or it would be Imogen.
Yeah, I mean, like an exaltant or somebody, a Ruidus born is required to
Right,
be
then
the
it can't be
vessel.
Ludinus, so he's not Ruidus
okay.
Ruidus born. I'm sorry.
Luminous born.
Rudinus born. But it did seem like it needs to be an exaltant to be a vessel. So it would either be someone that Ludinus can control, one of his exaltants, somebody like Liliana, or, to the Archart's point, it would be someone like Fern or Imogen, or both, but that it would still be a sacrifice.
I don't think Fern is an exaltant. She's not.
No, she is a Ruidus born.
Yeah.
But exaltation, how do I put this? Exaltation is not a defined thing necessarily. You, in taking in a Titan shard within you, you've become something wholly different than anything that's ever existed. You are both a Ruidus born and an entity that carries primordial Titan, like, spirit with it. So I wouldn't say you're an exaltant in the classic sense like Imogen or Liliana, but whatever the fuck you are is still powerful.
I think I can take it. I think I can take it.
To answer your question, I
Like Ashton and the Shard.
Yeah, I can take it.
What if Ashton and Fern?
Take
Never
it.
mind.
What'd you say?
Nothing.
Robbie,
I don't think anybody, and I don't speak for anybody else in the party, but like the vibe is, including myself, would choose to sacrifice any of their friends. I think what
Yeah.
you're saying is right. I think there's a lot of people who be comfortable with self-sacrifice, but that's not the way. For Dorian, well, now I'm wondering how much I want to say.
I know. I'm like,
but,
yeah. You
don't
don't have to.
anything you feel would be contradictory or revealing a hand of what your interest is, don't have to.
No, I would just say, I guess it was funny. Like I think I caught some heat because when I said that would be a deal that I'd be willing to make, but everybody missed the part where I said, if this is what we decide to do, that's a deal I'd be willing to make. So I would never make that choice for anybody
Unless
else in the
everybody
party.
else
Of course,
chimed
especially
in.
in the role that I've played in this up to this point.
Yeah.
So for Dorian, I've never done anything for the greater good outside of protecting you guys. That's always been his main concern from top to bottom. So I asked the question of whether or not you'd be okay with sacrificing someone that you loved. I did ask that. I asked it of Imogen and Laudna because that was my wondering if we were ever there, and they both said yes. So, but they're lovers, so they get the chance to say that.
Yeah.
But but for each other who are friends in this together, I mean, we'll have to see the truth of our actions once it really comes down to it, right? Everybody says that, right? They're like, if somebody broke into my house and I had to defend myself, I'd kill them in a heartbeat. I was like, yeah? Well, I hope you never have to have that experience.
Yeah.
So if it ever goes down, we're gonna find out where everybody's loyalties
100%.
lie.
That's
Yeah,
what I was just
absolutely.
thinking as you're talking. It's
Yeah.
like I could say, I think Orem would let this happen, or he would never let this happen. But honestly, it's just like that. I would do this and that. There's really no predicting because we also don't know the fuckery that Matt's going to surround us with and the choices that we're going to be faced with.
The choices are impossible too because like one of my first combat episodes back, you went down, and like as a player, the only thing I wanted to do in that whole combat scenario was to self-actualize in combat, and there's no way I could let myself not protect Orem in that moment. And that's not even a choice that I could break against as a player. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't, even though I wanted to do that as a player, I couldn't do it. Yeah, so it was, that's so
it's
weird.
funny how this game does that. Works.
Yeah.
That night I was like, I don't want to kill Fern's dad.
Yeah.
I didn't either, but I also like so much of. I mean, it's a collaborative game. It's hard. Like you want to make risky decisions because those are so fun when someone like makes a really strong decision and you all just have to go with it.
Yeah.
But there's also that extra level to it where you're like, well, the decisions I'm making are going to affect everyone here at the table. So like I want to make sure everybody's into it.
Yeah.
And like everybody's on board for whatever that decision is.
It's a tightrope, and sometimes
As a tightrope.
I think all of us have at times erred on the side of, I just don't want to rock the boat, and
Yeah.
rocking the boat really fucking hard. It just
Yes.
depends on what kind of a hair is up your butt that night.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
it's walking a tightrope with your 7 to 9 best friends.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Hey, talk about strong decisions. I'll make one segue. We're going next. We're gonna move away from the art chart. We're gonna keep on talking a little bit on the gods
Okay.
train, but before we do, cups up to Abu.
Cups
Cups
up.
up.
to
Cheers! What an amazing
Love
job!
you, Marceline.
Oh my goodness.
Come back soon.
Yes.
We got another god. We got the Matron of Ravens in the house.
Damn.
Planning to go.
Uh huh.
Oh man.
Yeah. How did it feel playing another god after watching somebody else play a god?
I mean, I've been the matron before, so.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been a bit though, so it's kind of like stepping into old, an old familiar outfit.
Yeah.
We got a lot more than I thought we were gonna get,
Same.
Agree.
which was so exciting.
I think that speaks to how pressed they are, how extreme the situation is.
Yes.
Because I was like, oh, we're getting the whole thing. We're all going into the blood, and we're all getting the mask off. But
Yes.
like we're in final days, weeks before whatever this universe-changing event is, however it plays out. So all bets are off, like we said from the beginning. And the guy, she's making moves.
She's making moves.
Yeah.
Who was it? Laudna that showed the image of Amira.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that change? Was she like?
That shifted things.
Okay. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
there was a shift there.
Yeah, I mean, there were a bunch of different opportunities to kind of like adjust the power dynamic of that whole scenario. Dorian, even in his dazed state, like stumbling into the thread and having these visions to clarify
that's
that.
right.
This was all a test. As it is with gods sometimes. But yeah, and I mean, with Abu stepping in as the Archheart, there was the thought of like Laura stepping in as the Matron of Ravens, and I've talked about this a little bit online, but it's a challenge in the scenario when the player is present in the story, and the knowledge that is to be conveyed or experienced or discussed in that scene, you want the player to experience it with everybody else. If Laura wasn't one of the players, then I would love to have had her been the matron and done with her I did for Abu, but also didn't want to rob her of the experience of being Imogen in that moment and learning and processing and asking questions and interacting with it. I felt that was more important. It was fun to set up and show an additional shade of perspective from the pantheon, given the circumstances as they are. It was fun.
Blood pool. So cool.
Yeah.
Wait, and that's a vestige from campaign 1, right?
Yeah, it was a massive moment of my character Vax,
Yeah.
he'd already been pulled into this dynamic with the god, and he didn't know what was up, so he went for answers, and Matt / priests of the temple directed him to walk into the pool of blood and give in. And then it led to him meeting her for the first time, and it was this one-on-one, mind-blowing, oh my god, I'm a bug on a windshield moment at our table. I love the matron. I'm still so, because you've held back so much from us rightfully, and I'm so curious about her true motivations and the woman that she was, not the one that she resurrected into to do their stealth mission and downfall, but the woman that she was. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I just have questions.
I do too.
Questions.
Maybe we'll get to
The
explore
more we
some of that
got, I
down
was
the road.
like, wait a minute. This was
Just to have those answers is absolutely wild.
yes. Yeah. What we got was
It's fun because there were so many facets of her story that I'm the only person who's known for years.
Yeah.
And then talking with Laura, in preparation for Downfall, I got to peel back a little bit of that curtain for her, and got to watch her go like, "What, really?" And even collaborate with her on a few things.
so cool.
And then for the purposes of this story, based on how the combat and the challenge was going to go, and the choices that were made in that, and the observations that you all showed, kind of essentially proving yourselves in her domain, it allowed her to kind of pull back the curtain even further for you all, for whatever her purposes may be.
All right, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking in your space. You've got 1 billion minis to choose from, pieces to cobble together and make amalgam terrifying creatures. You've got a trial by fight in mind. How do you end up with our 3 combatants? Like what? I mean, obviously there's some spooky psychological character beats there, but like those 3 were such an interesting combo to see in the space.
I started with a long list. I listed a bunch of things that could be interesting to throw into this, and I basically cobbled it down to those 3. Partially because Vespin represented the first true folly in the path that she carved through history. Her ascension into the pantheon and the destruction of the previous god of death, what she accomplished as a mortal became this moment in history that all other powerful mages saw as the pinnacle and wanted to follow in that same footsteps. It's what led to, the harshest era of the Age of Arcanum and what eventually led to the Calamity and all that era. Like Vespin was trying to follow in her footsteps to a certain degree, is what started all that. So for her, having Vespin present was kind of to show those of you that were present in that area a reminder of where this all started and why all of this tension and conversation around the gods and where they sit in the future of Exandria is important. And then the other facets were people that were still lingering unknowns on where they sit on the chessboard of current, moments in history that are also deeply tied to each of your perspectives in one way or another. And whether or not you had the wherewithal to realize that 1, this is not truly them, and 2, even with that knowledge, would you be able to do what needs to be done to ensure the choices that need to be made are made? Because if you don't have that, then what good are you? From her perspective and the gods.
Right.
And
it was interesting. Like there was some debate. Like, do we go after like our friend? And I, as Orin, believe like they are not real. We just have to stay alive. They are not real. But opposed to Imogen facing her mother and having that faltering step of "I'll go with you," and then she immediately got rocked, and it was like a joy buzzer sting for not being willing to go the distance in that moment. That's how I read that, anyway.
I don't want to psychoanalyze our friends' characters, but even after that, she really never engaged with her in combat. She focused almost entirely on who was she was fighting. Who?
Vespin, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. Vespin.
But I love that about the character of Imogen, which is just edging, just riding the line, with standing up and doing what's better for all, or, it's a powerful call. Your family, your friends, in the moment, it's hard to deny.
Yeah, it wasn't a kind trial, but the matron is not known for kind trials.
Yeah.
It was nice to have because of the setting that you set up. It felt like a trial, but then to flip it over, you sort of in the dying moments of Opal and you made these weird moments of clarity where there was the possibility that this was not a trial. That was really fun, and I think it's just sort of raised the hair on all the back of our necks and went, uh-oh, this is a god. What if we're wrong?
Yeah.
What if we just teleported our buddy here and
This
things
is
went
the
sideways?
guy who put a couple of sentries outside of a door that Laura and I just stealth killed from afar as Vex and Vax, and they were some of our best friends in the world, just tied up with like helmets on. He does leave shit out for you to step on rakes.
Yeah.
From time to time.
I'm sorry, I'm fucked up, y'all.
Well, and it still did make us kill the visage of our best friends and parents.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So it's yeah.
Yeah, it was intended to be a non-kind trial, but also a means of either proving that you couldn't do what needed to be done, or a way of teaching you to prepare for what needs to be done, more or less.
Danny, I'm going to need some help with the very last one in this section. It's got lore beyond my depth.
What's up?
It's about learning her past. She didn't challenge the god of death. This is the Matron of Ravens. They were Lovas?
Lovas?
It's a lot of caps. It's all in caps. I don't know why.
Kyle added the caps, but that's because we're very excited.
All right,
Lovas.
help me with this final question.
So, well, we just want to know because for so long, the matron was considered to be a woman of great ambition, to be a woman, a wizard who had been the most ambitious of all, the most powerful of all, to take down a god, to destroy a god. It all seemed to be that she was in it for the power, and instead we find out that she did it all for love, and that she did it because she wanted to help the person that she loved.
Yeah. Now, she was an ambitious woman as well. Don't be wrong.
I'm not saying
Of
that
course.
the ambition wasn't part of it.
Right.
But the details matter.
Of course.
We hear you. Love and kindness is evil. Got it.
Yes.
All right.
She says engaged.
Congratulations. I guess some questions are meant to be answered and some aren't. And some are meant to be answered in the Tower of Inquiry, baby. It's time for a question. Is this a game we played before?
Yes.
You might remember it's very simple. We're going to take turns pulling blocks from the tower. Danny reads us the corresponding fan questions, and then we each give our own answer. And if for some reason the tower should fall, who cares? This is a low effort stream.
I'm way too close to. I can't get through here, so I'm going to actually just ask the question from my little desk.
That's fine. You're
Okay. How do we decide who goes first? I can't remember. I get to choose?
People.
Okay. Eeny. I'm just kidding. It's you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yay.
While you're doing that, I'll just follow up on the last question. And
Yeah.
Say, like, it was very nice to find a moment in the story to reveal that.
Yeah.
That part of her
I love
history.
that
And
bit of
there's a
history.
lot I look forward to talking about post campaign about it as well, or maybe exploring in some other story stuff. I'd love to. And now that more things have been revealed, to explore more of the matron's history, but.
Those of us who have been Matron of Raven truthers since day one feel so vindicated. I knew it was for love. I knew there were more reasons behind it.
You're cranking
Day
out,
one.
You're cranking out novels like nobody's business. It's time to do the Pantheon of the Gods, baby.
Yeah, like nobody's business. One maybe a year.
Yaks.
What is it? 6? Let's do it.
Alrighty.
Well, you gotta put it on top, lemurs.
I've decided
What
to
if I just
take
put it on
off
the
my
side?
final
who
piece of my
cares?
costume. That's it.
Yeah.
Now it's not accurate.
I don't know who you are
Stop,
anymore.
lemur. We'll get you an Aperol spritz. You'll feel better.
Perfect.
These swords will go
What's
nowhere.
the question?
It is from Exandrian Moonlight on Tumblr. Shout out to Tumblr.
Tumblr.
What is the biggest
back, baby.
surprise the DM has thrown at you that was tied to your backstory? For DMs, what was the biggest PC backstory swing / curveball?
Biggest prize?
Surprise.
Surprise.
It was tied to your
Curveball.
backstory.
Super easy for me. I'll do it because I'm a new guy. Brohim coming into the picture. That when you bring an NPC to life that was part of your backstory, that was meant as a vehicle, that I could not have been more thrown for a loop. I knew there was going to be some kind of method for me to make my exit early in the campaign, but I didn't know what it would be. And when you brought Cyrus to life, that was. I was just like flabbergasted. I had no idea where that was going. That moment when we went down into the theater and he put his hand on my shoulder, I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I think he's gonna murk me. And I was like, what, brother? It was an unhinged thing to do. And I loved it. Yeah, that was it for me.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Do you know one?
I mean, go ahead.
Right.
I have one I can tell.
I mean, for this campaign, it was taking what I thought, and you did this campaign too as well, where I had like my backstory. I was like, so in the corner of the story, there's this little wizard school, and it really did him dirty, and then went front and center. But even more so in campaign 3, I'm like, okay, so Orem is just a bodyguard with the Tempest Blades, with the Ashari, and someone does a hit, someone attacks Keela. They could be traveling somewhere, it could be anywhere, and I lose my father and my husband. and it became the whole fucking plan of lewdness at the linchpin of the campaign, dead center. I was like, ah! When it happened, I couldn't. There were multiple things going on there. Shit, and you dropped Vax at the same fucking moment in time. So yeah,
That was a surprise.
And made him a ball.
brain outside my ear. Yep.
The Vax going into a ball, I know that doesn't have to do with my backstory, but that was something that blew my mind. Because I was just like, whoa, wait, what are we doing here? So like, the other characters are coming in here and, oh my God.
And then it was, just kidding, he's a plot device. Fling!
Yeah.
And there he's
so
roommate.
great. Yes, exactly that stage. God, I feel like everything's been a surprise. I feel like Nana Mori was the best surprise because I just told you, I was like, I feel like her Nana's a hag. She's just a hag. And then when you introduced her, it was just everything. And also Zathuda. I mean, I knew that there was I knew her parents after some time. I'm like, something's up here. Something feels like these are not actually her parents, or one of them is not, I can't tell. But that was a surprise for this campaign. But there's been so many. You surprise us all the time. And I think that's what's so fun about playing with you, because you like surprising us.
I do. It's my favorite
And
thing.
it feels nice, because it's like, oh, he's our friend, and he's giving us a surprise.
You thought so hard for us.
Yeah, he did.
It's my love language.
Yeah, it is.
Torture you with your creativity.
Ugh, I love it.
You might be allergic to bees, but are you allergic to these?
Wow.
I don't know.
I think you have to
Yeah,
do the
let
next
me
one
do
because
it.
of that.
I told you it's a low effort stream.
Yeah.
It
was warned in advance, yeah.
You guys.
So long, farewell.
Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
Do, 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 do,
Do, do, do, do, do, do, do.
I will have all of your glasses by the end.
I'm gonna do this one.
Give it to me.
Nice and
Nice, nice. Well done.
Eight.
Ocho.
Eight.
Acht.
From Will Clansack. Animals often have unique names when they gather in a group, such as a herd or a swarm of bees or a herd of cows, a herd of cattle, a swarm of bees or a murder of crows. If there was a large gathering of only your character, what would it be called? For example, a group of Vaxes could probably be called a brood.
Conspiracy of Ravens.
yeah.
Brood of Vaxes, a
Brood of Vaxes.
group of a specific character.
Yeah, like if it was a group of ferns.
A feather of ferns?
Like 30 or so orums?
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Dorian's dream.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Hey-oh, sorry. Quiet now.
So what would you call a group of worms?
I gotta think.
I gotta think
So,
too. That's a tough one.
That is tricky.
A fancy of ferns?
Oh,
Fancy at first is
that's
pretty great.
perfect.
Pick an NPC for me.
I was about to say,
Okay,
pick up the, yeah.
Gilmore.
Gilmore? Oh my goodness.
Gilmore or Allura?
Let me think. Gilmore?
Allura Gilmore?
Be like a spectacular of Gilmores.
That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good.
A glory of Gilmore's.
The glory.
Seems a little too on the nose. But I like it.
I'm never, if
Riegel.
not the least interesting option.
No, that is untrue.
No.
We'll fight whoever says that, even if it is you.
I think I would say a deluge of Dorians.
I like that.
I'm gonna skip the alliteration and say an Orem pie.
Oh. That's cute.
Hell yeah.
If you don't remove that tower piece with the sword, I will be grossly disappointed.
Just
Let's see.
I will do my best.
I want
just,
you to pull it from the hilt and right
Yes.
back in.
It's like,
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
The whole thing is a diagonal cut.
Yeah.
oh no.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
You said
Oh,
it.
you can do it.
Oh no.
Come on. It's just like billiards.
Wait, you already touched the other one.
It doesn't matter. He's
The whole thing moved.
There's no
The
challenge
whole
she won't
tower
accept.
moved.
There's got to be a soft one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's
okay,
gonna
okay,
do
okay,
it.
Okay. He's got
That's
it.
good for me.
It won't go all the way through.
You can pull. You can pull from there.
He's starting to believe.
He's starting to believe. Boo!
Yeah, with
Believe it!
with this.
You guys, Mercer's fighting the Jenga Tower.
25.
25.
25.
25.
Oh.
This is a great one for Halloween. I love this. At Cap'n Lunar on Twitter, what kind of cryptid or creature from folklore would any of your campaign characters be a believer of if they were from our world?
The Voltex.
Ooh.
Easily.
The Voltex.
Voltex. She's out there.
Yeah, so like, would Fern be really into Bigfoot or something?
Oh, I see what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is tough.
I feel like Fern would really like the Loch Ness.
Mm.
Because I think it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Nessie. And want Nessie.
I feel like Imogen would like Selkies and Kelpies.
Yes.
Kelpies specifically, yeah.
Yes.
I think Ira would be like a snob about cryptozoology and find really obscure shit like the Flatwoods monster and be like, oh, I'm only into the really interesting rare creatures.
Is this question focused on real world
Yes.
make-believe creatures?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Earth, not Exandria.
Planet Earth cryptids.
Yes, Planet Earth cryptids. If Orem came to Planet Earth and he got to hang out, would he be really into the Jersey Devil? Or would he
That's
not
me.
be? No, I know. I got you a pin.
Orm would raise jackalopes.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's really cute.
Really is the
Perfect.
Spring Hill Jack.
Yeah.
There's a. I've kind of talked about this before because there's like a Norwegian folklore, kind of Swedish, called Skogsrud, where where they're like these beautiful women in the forest and they sort of lure the men in, and then some of them have like if they turn around, their backs are hollow, like the inside of a tree, and they're just like, and they turn into just little like weird, strange creatures. Love it. And then you can never leave the forest. I feel like Fern would also really like that.
Do you know what culture is it from? Rusalka, do you know that old folklore?
Kind of.
The Decemberists, I know it because the Decemberists wrote a
yeah.
song about it, but it's basically a water spirit, and it's from the song is from the point of view of a man who's just wandered out into the woods and finds it, and he's happy to get drugged down into the dark.
And it's just
with her hair
freely-
like an alien bloom is my favorite lyric in the song.
Usually about the Selkie is like the more modernized like version of that.
I just did a 12-mile woods hike outside of Cologne, Germany.
Oh, yeah?
In the woods, and I was like, oh, this is where all the fairy tales come from, because there's just bogs and shit, and the tree line is high, and like it is a scary place, and I understand why you would not want your children walking around there by yourself.
And there are wolves.
Definitely, there are real wolves. That's a good point. They're all just allegories for wolves. Keep the kids out of the woods.
I really want to do a show in Germany someday. I don't know if it's possible.
Be fun. Dorian would be into Mothman.
Nice.
yeah.
Just because he's got a sneaking suspicion he's hot.
Statue that's in Point Pleasant. Dude, that Mothman statue has a great ass. Yeah. I'm telling you, look up the Mothman statue that's in Point Pleasant. Great ass.
The new Wolfman's Got Nards is Mothman's Got Cakes.
Nothing will ever replace Wolfman's Got Nards.
Statue in Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's where the Mothman was originally sighted, was Point Pleasant, Virginia.
Good job,
Wow.
New Jersey.
Yeah. And
West Virginia, I'm so sorry.
good job to Exandrian Moonlight, Will Glansek, and Cap
Yes.
Lunar. Thank you for the questions. And if you have a question out there for our Tower of Inquiry, you can enter it at critroll.com/tower. All right. It's time to slide into the deep dive where Lord Keeper Danny Carr passes out mugs filled with questions. Oh, shit.
Take her!
Bring forth the
This
mob.
was the thing I needed to do.
Can we bob for questions? Is that
Yeah.
the way that it
You have
works?
to like
Might be tough,
feed bag
but
them
we
out.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get your tongue in like a kangaroo. Or,
See what comes out.
I don't know if I would lick anything in this studio. I'm not
I
sure.
probably
I
would
think I
not.
already have everything.
It's how you claim all the dice.
Yeah. Yeah. All
No
the
one come in here.
Map room just a little sticky.
Oh, Oh God.
That one's yours.
This one's mine. Oh, okay.
Oh, that one's
I have
cool looking. That looks like.
That's got a little drawing
Yeah,
for
thank you.
yes.
Yeah, and it also says laxative on it for some reason.
Thank you, Karsh.
Yeah. Okay.
Mother.
Who wants to go first? You go first. You already pulled yours. What do you have?
Oh.
Yeah, Fritz.
Oh, this is very. How does Fern feel closing the door on the life she could have had with her father, Zethuda? What is her feeling towards all her various parents?
Jeez.
Sheesh, Louise!
What? It's the deep dive.
It's the deep dive.
Well, I got glue on my face.
A little bit right there. on the
Why
other
didn't
side,
you let
other
me
side.
know?
Oh,
letting
little
you
crap
know.
on the other side?
Over here
It's
on this
mustache.
side.
It's cold foam from my cough.
There you go, you got it.
There you got
I'm
it.
foaming at the mouth at the thought of the Mothman.
That was a sentence.
Boy, I think.
Yes.
I mean, as I think we could see in the game, I think Fern is really wrestling with how to deal with and how she should feel about her father, her real father. Trying to think of how much I should say here. I do think that the way that it was handled, and I think sort of having Nana, the one person in her life that has shown her love and taken care of her, even if it has been in a weird, fucked up way. I think having Nana be like, no, this is how we're going to take care of this situation. I think for Fern, having him there as a picture, knowing that she can always go back and talk with him now, feels like the right thing that could have happened. And
Such a fey opinion.
It really is.
yeah, like I think now she can go back, and if she has something that she wants to talk with him about or ask him about, and
Wow.
Now he has to talk to
now
her.
he
Yeah.
has to talk to her.
Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah. And as for her other parents, I feel like that love will maybe grow. I don't know. I don't think she has any hatred towards them. I think now learning the whole big picture of what her life was for, or what her purpose was supposed to be for.
So you think you can have more honest conversation with your dad in the state that he's in now?
Yeah.
What a crazy metaphor for stripping a potential abuser's power away before you can actually converse with them in an honest way. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
deep dive!
Very
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Deep dive.
Creepy deepy.
Creepy
All right.
deepy.
So, Matt, tell us about your inspiration for the matron's backstory. How did it feel to finally reveal her true connection to the original god of death? I was wondering if it was ever going to come out. I was excited to talk about it, and honestly, parts of it were a collaboration with Laura Bailey as well. Like there was a threads to it and a structure to it that I had, but in talking with Laura about the matron for Downfall, she had some ideas too to kind of add to it. And we kind of buttoned up some of the loose facets of it that because I hadn't really had an opportunity to sit down and have a reason to kind of develop it fully. And so I had like the general idea for it, and then she started asking questions about it when we were preparing for Downfall, and I was like, you know what? Kind of like, Abu, what do you think? And we started like riffing on it, and so, yeah, the idea was always meant to be that she did not destroy the god of death out of malice or out of pure ambition. That the secret, one of the secrets that she kept, because few would believe it, and because at a certain point it's out of her control, was that she developed the right with the god of death, where it wasn't that she like developed a way to ascend and destroy a god because she wanted to become a god. Likely she didn't really want to become a god necessarily. She might have a curiosity like anybody of her power and ambition might have been, but she wasn't driving for that. She just spent a lot of time talking with this god in their isolated fortress of solitude, if you will, and in asking them about their existence and the secrets to the universe that she could learn, that it could progress. Like, it was a very kind of cold, why have you shown up in my house, type of initial encounter, and she just kind of stayed there and wouldn't leave. Very much like the the student that shows up outside of the master's domain and won't leave the step until he takes him in, and then just over time, the kind of two opposing forces began to warm around each other, and this lonely death god and finally kind of found a kinship with her, and they became very close friends, and emotion kind of read from there, and then through that space, eventually, the god of death decided it didn't want to be there anymore and needed her help to be free. And they developed it together, and in freeing the death god, she took its space for better or worse, and has lived in that spot since, and her perspective on that is a unique one, both when it started and where she is now.
I can't think of a more fitting story for a woman, for a character who holds the moniker of Goddess of Death, for her story to be about helping someone let go, which is really what the matron has been to me from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that just feels full circle.
Yeah, it's always been kind of the intent. And then Laura and me worked together to kind of shore up some of the details I hadn't got a chance to do yet, and hopefully more down the road.
So cool.
You're up.
Oh, right. Let's see. What did Orem think about being tested by the matron after his experiences with the Wild Mother and the Archheart? Well, I feel like Orem just got punched around in so many different directions on the way to the matron that, I mean, I'm not sure how to answer this specifically, but I'll speak to Orem's state of mind overall, which is like he feels like he's eaten a lot of grief the last few days, and in typical Orem fashion has just eaten it and is walking forward and not complaining about it. He doesn't know who to believe. He doesn't know if they're to be believed. It just, the events with the Archheart really just, and the matron and the Wild Mother in rapid succession hammered in the lesson. He already felt this. Like, he's not, I could have gone Paladin, I could have multiclassed into Cleric. I resisted the whole time because he's not like a lover of the Pantheon. He's just more like, I'm tending the garden and they're part of it. But the events of the last few chapters of this story have hammered home the fact that while they are drastically more powerful and unreachable to us, they are just like us. They are just as scattered and in disarray with opposing opinions. Like, there is no master plan shared between those three gods at all. And so it has just left him with more questions at this late stage of the story, and that only leaves him to do what he knows, right? What you know, which is to protect the people around you. Because that's the only thing that makes sense to him in all of this. There you go, there's your answer.
Good answer.
Happy Halloween.
Watching you all answer these questions, looking the way that you look, is maybe my favorite thing about the evening. It's very enjoyable for me. All right, I got one. That's long.
That's long.
Wow.
I'm okay.
How is it coming face to face with Dorian's dad to be allowed to grieve for a moment and stand up for himself at the same time, in addition of accepting the blade? Wow. I mean, we talked about surprising moments about backstory and family that Matt crafted for us, and the possibility that he might be there was in the back of my head when we first arrived, because it made sense from like just a tactical lore standpoint, and Matt's not one to let those things go unnoticed. But I also, in the back of my head, I was like, no way, he won't do that. I was like, surely it won't be the whole fam. And when it went down, and then you rolled that great perception check and got the whisper, that was such a cool method for that to be delivered too. Instead of just being like, peekaboo, I'm your dad, I'm here, let's work out all your shit. It was just, it was poignant and important, and got the opportunity to RP with you a little bit, which is always fun, and some unexpected things came out of it. I think some things came out unintentionally about like the nature of a father's acceptance and what that means, and for what it means to someone who hasn't gotten that. And yeah, and I don't know about our personal perspectives, but for me, like, I've got a really good dad. I've got a really good father, and he's my stepdad, and he came into my life when I was a young kid, about 8 or 9, when I really needed it. So to be able to say, like, to express those things that maybe I realized that I needed so bad as a kid in game with someone who didn't provide that for me in a backstory for a fictional character, and to get to apply that into some RP without doing any wound picking from an acting standpoint was very fun. So, and for Dorian to get to hash that out, it gave me a way to move forward from where we left off in the rest of the game. Because I was feeling a little bit stuck about like not being able to express the feelings about what got me here yet, because of the world was so big. So I think that gave me permission to play my character and move forward with the rest of the group. And I think that's something that I've been longing for a couple of episodes. So it was really nice. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Me.
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 Oh.
Let's see what we have.
How did Fern and Orem feel having to fight Opal? Orem kept telling himself that it wasn't real. How did Fern feel?
That question is for both of y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. No, terrible, terrible, terrible. And the three of us are worried about, like, we're doing this huge thing, and then there's someone else who's very, very important to us, and we have no idea. Don't have eyes on, no idea. And we've spent so much time with her, and she meant so much. It just doesn't feel cool to cut that person down, even if it's a simulation.
Yeah. I felt the same too. I was, but there was also that element of, we were all like, this isn't real. This isn't really them. Right?
Yeah.
It was just that level of, we just, which I think was on purpose, but like I was so scared to hurt her. I didn't want to, and I know that was part of the test. But I think that's why I was just pumping everything into, someone Fern didn't know. Of just like, well, I'll fight that one over there, with Vespin. But that was hard.
I think I went to Opal to get it done with. Like, Orm's brain was like, and he was not happy about it either. It's like, this god is, this is fucked. This god is testing us. This hurts. This is the one that's gonna hurt the most. Get it done. Go to the next. Go to the next. Go to the next. There was no, I'm gonna avoid my mom or go to my mom because it's my mom. It was just set him up and knock him down and get the fuck through this, because we have shit to do.
Yeah. I think there was also a little bit of Fern was mad that was the test. Of like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't want, why does this have to be the test? Like, why do we have to further hurt people that we love or that we care about? Like, why does that have to be, like, how are we proving it in that way? I don't know, and I that was stressful. That was really stressful. Yeah.
Not wrong at all.
Yeah, but I couldn't figure out a way to say it, and I was like, well, maybe later.
I was with you
come out.
on that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
The anger was there a little bit.
Yeah.
And it actually made it easier. Dorian was fucking into it.
Yeah,
That's like the first
yeah.
time where he felt like it was actually easy, because he didn't want, maybe it's more of his relationship with the gods, but he didn't want the Matron of Ravens bastardizing the idea of his very real friend. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, don't fucking touch my friend in this way. It feels bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was ready. I was ready to scrap on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Motivating.
Yeah.
Don't look smug in that costume.
I can't not. It's in character. It is built on smugness. You return to Vasselheim, and you are once again in control of numerous PCs, many of which have been seen in previous campaigns. What was it like to return to the city and those characters? Did you have a favorite to embody again? It was really fun and extremely stressful to keep my mind wrapped around the events of how these meetings were to transpire, who was present, their opinions on things, when they would break in, what bits of information were important to convey with these scenes in a natural way, but also like letting people interject in a natural way that I didn't prepare and involve, and just kind of like build the through line and then just kind of see what happens as we go. And as well as collecting some of these older PCs, because they are now movers and shakers in the world too. You know, Vox Machina are these great heroes of old who have now kind of fallen into semi-retirement or, you know, local politics, or, you know, with Vexalia and people in the council, you know, kind of broader politics, but they're, you know, they're present in these spaces. And so it's not me going like, I can't wait to cameo. It's me going, the logic stands that they would be present. And then because of that, I can't wait to cameo. And then I get to step into Vexalia while looking at Lord Bailey and going like, I'm so sorry. I hope this makes you happy. You know.
Oh man.
Yeah, I really enjoy it because it's, like I've said it before in here, like this is a gift to my players as well. This is to show that the choices they made and the things that they did, you know, so many years ago continue to have an impact on the world that they've now continued to live in and hopefully love the way I do. And it's something I've wanted to do since I was a kid. I've wanted to have players and campaigns in the same world over time and be able to weave something like this together. So
this really reinforces to us that like what we've made together matters, and it's just logical, like you said, that these figures would grow in the world, and it makes the world feel real and the people feel real. And like I can think about Caleb or Pike or Grog or Imogen and think about like, once I know like what the end beats of our campaign story is, I still think of them living, and you know they live in my head still, and I wonder about them because they're our babies.
yeah, it's like Vox Machina are
thank
the
you, is what
Avengers
I'm
of
saying.
Exandria.
Yeah.
I can't wait until it's campaign 18, 2065, and Matt shows up. He's like, "It's me, Pumat Soul.
Oh, Matt.
Remember me, kids?" It's gonna be the best.
It's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be a lot easier to do too when it's just my head in a jar.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I love it. I don't know. I love this shit.
Your turn.
This one, definitely this one.
Are you sure?
Nope. Seedling was blessed, and Orym saw Will again. How does Orym feel about the encounter once more in the Wild Mother's realm, as well as seeing the terror of Predathos firsthand? Well, let's talk about Predathos first, reinforcing Orym's extreme reservations about cracking open the walnut and letting that out. The gods terrify us. We're ants, and that thing terrifies them. And like I think I threw out at some point recently that like I'm worried about, you know, that I Orym have stepped on ants and didn't know it. That's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about. As far as seeing Will again, I think there was a bit of peace to it that he appreciated, as conflicted as his feelings are about the gods right now. Appreciated. He doesn't feel. He didn't feel like that was an illusion. He felt like that was a window. Could be wrong. But it really is just reflects where Orym is at in his journey, which is, you know, we're all going to be light of the Luxon in the end anyway, rejoined together. So I know that I'll be returned to Will in whatever sense that is that we don't understand yet. And it charts his progression of the loss of his husband, from the backstory to the beginning of EXU to the beginning of the campaign to where we are now. It's been many years, and Will's left his mark indelibly. Is that the right word to use? Irrevocably on Orym's heart and soul. And boy, if they survive the end of the world, he could start living again. We'll see. TPK.
Ooh, shorter. And Dorian allowed himself to drown.
Of all questions to do that voice on.
Continue, please.
And deprived himself of air for the first time in his life. How did that experience affect him? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of those in-the-moment choices that you make where you go, well, what would I do? I would see what this is all about. So I don't know. I think you gave us a hint about maybe the nature of how a gateway opens to something magical. And if I were given that in the real world, and I had a way to circumvent it via my own cunning, I would try to. I want to know how the sauce is made, and that's just in my nature. And I think that's part of myself that I put into Dorian, which is curiosity. So when I thought, oh, fuck, I've got unending breath. I'm gonna see if what he said is right, and he really wants us to die. So I'm gonna allow myself to sink and see what happens to my friends and understand if this is the truth. And then I guess that allowed Dorian to make another set of choices where he allowed himself to be a part of the group. So even though he had a way to get out, he said, I'm in it to win it. I'm gonna die for my friends. So in a sense, it felt anticlimactic to just let it go, but I think that's what he needed to do as a character, and I needed to do as a player. Yeah, not don't be clever, just join the group. And
I wonder if anything would have happened.
It's funny because when you brought that up, I was like, interesting. In my head, I began to logic out all these different things that could happen as that transpired, and there were a couple of things that could have happened.
Yeah. Ah, fuck.
I was like, it's like the jaunt.
Yeah.
The Stephen King short story.
Oh yeah.
Of like
you know
when
that
you were
short
just
story?
like.
I don't know that, and I'm a constant reader, and I don't know. That
It's
one.
a short story.
What is it from?
From the Bachman books? It's from a collection.
They're not my favorite.
Yeah,
It's a very short. I recommend just this one.
Okay.
It explores, it jumps back and forth between past and present of the story of teleportation and how teleportation is used for interplanetary travel, but that you must not be awake when it happens and what goes wrong if you are.
Yeah.
Scary.
I'm literally
it's freaky.
embarrassed.
But
I'm a
there's
huge
somebody
Stephen
that
King reader,
there's
and I've never.
somebody that is like, well, I want to test this.
Yeah,
what
but
happens
I
if you stay
feel
awake?
like I read this a long time ago.
Yeah, we've talked. I feel like we've talked
I'll
about
check
it a
it out
lot
about
because
it
it's
all the
so. It's like, well, I want to see the people behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
like-
the urge to do something destructive, but you're so curious
Yeah, I
that
really
you
push the button.
resist common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for any, I mean, like if I could circumvent drowning, like animal instinct would be like, I'll make gills if I can do that.
Yeah, of course.
So it became a more of a measured decision for him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. It
A leap
was.
of faith.
It was a leap of faith, but you had parachute on. And then if you let everybody around you's going down, I don't know. It's literally if your friends jumped off a bridge and drowned in a pool of blood, you would too. And I guess
You're like, well, okay, I guess
you
this
did.
is what we're doing.
So
Just like the abyss, just breathe in. Just breathe in.
Oh,
Yeah.
that scene.
Oh, so stressful.
yeah. But the method to get where we got was so
Yes.
so sick. But I had to take a peek.
Yeah, yeah.
course.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it was nice to be at peace with it too. Because watching, I always kind of like put my eyes up here while I'm thinking about what you're describing, and try to picture it, and watching the struggle of drowning, watching people go through that would be terrifying, and knowing that that's your fate, to make that choice is disgusting.
It's funny, each time I've described that, I remember as a kid, my mom describing to me how she drowned when she was a kid.
Wow.
God.
And
Wow.
was thankfully recovered, but like I remember her telling me like it was the most intense panic and fear she'd ever experienced in her life that almost instantly became the most gentle, welcoming embrace.
No.
And I was like, that is the scariest thing
No.
ever. And I hadn't thought about it for so
no.
long until the first time accident in that pool, and I was like,
Wow.
oh boy, we're going here, okay.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, I think the scariest depiction of that ever as another blood thing is in. Have you ever seen The Gray, the Liam Neeson movie based on the novel where they crash the plane and they're being hunted by
No, but
wolves?
I know what movie you're
No,
talking
no.
about.
There's a I won't blow it for you. There's a sequence where someone's bleeding out and Liam Neeson knows it, and the guy's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? He's like, you're going to die. And then he just talks him through what it's like to bleed out, and it's one of the most impactful, terrifying scenes I've ever watched in a movie.
Oh my
Ever.
God.
Anyway, go watch it. It's a great film. Hey, speed round. Let's not talk about death anymore.
Okay, okay,
We got
okay,
one
okay,
more
okay,
round.
okay,
We're gonna
okay.
go quick. Let's knock these questions out.
I don't know how much longer I can hold this.
Liam Neeson. You're gonna die.
What a great scene.
And bad news, all the questions are about death.
All right, let's speed through it. It's not scary at all.
What you got, Ashley?
Okay, what was it like to bond so heavily with Glomgloot? Did Fern consider keeping him? Does she hope to call on him again someday? Kind of talked about this. Bonding with him was so incredible. I feel like I didn't quite know what that would be, but I was like, well, maybe if I play the kin and family, maybe that'll work.
Definitely changed the dynamic from a combative standpoint.
Yes. I think, yes, I would love to keep him. But like we were talking about earlier, I don't think that's Fern's. I don't think Fern wants to keep anybody prisoner that doesn't want to stay there. And does she hope to call on him someday? Yeah. Yes, I think anytime she goes home or anywhere, she will just constantly be looking for him, just for getting a glimpse and seeing if he remembers her.
I wonder if he sort of like settles into the skies around Nanamori's.
Me
That's like
too.
home base.
Like maybe has babies and they live there and, in a Heracol fence or, and yeah, of course. I hope all of that. I think if she goes back to the Fae, she will constantly be looking for him and thinking of him.
I love that.
You know what, Sword Guy? Your aura is just too powerful. I think we've got to break the circle. I don't think as host I should be the last question. You're going to have the last question.
Okay.
We're going to
Okay.
skip you and
Okay.
go to Orum.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm now?
Yeah,
Too
we're
much,
going to pull one.
Too much amber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
It is
yeah.
the
yeah.
color of my
your
hair.
We
energy.
need your light
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end
yeah.
to shine.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I've alluded to bits of this already. Orem seems to feel very guilty about attacking Zethuda and being the one to end his life. Does he worry about how this may affect his friendship with Fern? 100%. Absolutely. He feels like he has committed a very deep sin. And particularly painful because the death of his own father in a war that Orem didn't know existed was world forming for him. So to be fighting this fight that they're in and to say, I have to make sure that this happens right at any cost to take down your father in the way, in a weird, it's not a one-for-one, but there are parallels to the loss of Derek. Was just gutting, totally gutting. And I think that even with Fern sort of signaling to Orem it's okay and the way things went, it doesn't really matter. Orem is now just added a chain to his shoulders and is like another 20 pounds heavier to walk forward. Yeah.
Oh.
What you got?
Oh, tell us about the inspiration for Coriolis and what the magically inclined horse means to the Wyvern Winds. That came in a fever dream. No, actually, that came from Abria. We were looking for ways to sauce up what would happen in the crossover episodes, and she was pitching out spell ideas when we were sort of just chit-chatting about how I could have maybe leveled up since being away, and she brought that up. And then I said, ooh, that sounds fun. And I marked it in my notes and we never did anything with it. So then we came back to the main campaign. It's been in my spell book since day one. And there was just never felt like the right moment that felt too overshadowy or too weird or it just never felt right. And when you have those more high level spells that could be used for effect outside of combat, I felt like that was the most poignant moment. And then when I was challenged to not be a diverter and to summon my own strength, then the idea of what we'd done early on about Dorian humming this mysterious tune, there was never a purpose for it. So in the moment, I just put the pieces back together and I said, we've been talking for 10 minutes. This requires a somatic. He's been humming something in his head. He hums when he's nervous. And then what if he accidentally casts a spell because he never knew that was the family tune that was the means to channel in the the equine dragon. So I had chosen the form already and like the idea of what it would be if it ever came out. And then it's just like, oh, it's going to be a celestial. I picked my stats. We agreed on some griffin stats, even though it was a little special. And we worked on what it would kind of look like for a long maw or that type of like equine dragon to appear. And it just felt right. And I knew he has use in the future, and he has. He finally got to pop up and help provide an escape and a means for us to get not the emissary, but the guard back to the Unseelie in an easy way. And and then also to be able to tie in family lineage and making that a positive in a moment of being tested. I think that just fit into the story, and it was just it felt like a right moment. It was a good, nice moment. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
So good.
My turn. Okay. Matt,
Finish this.
what is the process like of bringing in others to portray gods, particularly when it came to Downfall and to Abu's appearance? Why didn't Laura play the matron, for instance?
Pick another one.
Yeah, I already talked about
Yeah, we
that.
already did it.
I already talked about that one. You know what I mean.
Boo! Who wrote these questions? Boo!
Matt, Vox Machina and the Mighty Nine are being teed up to re-enter the story in full force. Can you talk to us about preparing for this crossover and what it's like to bring these 3 campaigns together? Yeah, it's super exciting, and it's also a lot of work. It's because like I have general ideas, especially like post Vasselheim, of like, okay, this is the plan that was being set up. This makes the most sense for everyone's power set. It's all leaning up to allow Bell's Hells the best chance they have at succeeding at this like ultimate goal that only really they can do, given their experience, knowledge, and the Rudis born within them. So it's like having all their old groups now playing support for their current group, which is like a really, really cool moment. And so breaking all that out and preparing for all these different encounters that'll come along the way, what the timing of these certain things. It's a lot of math and like theoretical chess in my head. So while it's a lot of work though, it's super exciting. I can't fucking wait. I'm loving this so much. And there's so much I can't wait to happen and to show you and fight you with. And oh, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. That's all.
I knew you were the right one to answer the last question. And that's it for Deep Dive, which means we're almost done for this very lazy Halloween 4-sided dive. But before we go, it's time for one more round of questions from the Tower of Inquiry.
My God.
Yeah, we got to do it again.
You haven't picked yet.
Okay.
Just like that. That was easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, that's right. He didn't pick last time, so
Yeah,
he has
he
to do
did
2
not.
this time, right?
What? No, that's not how it
That's how the
works.
rules
That
work?
is,
I'm
that's
pretty
the
sure
rules.
that's how they work.
Them the rules.
Really,
Like,
when I did
what
that,
are
just
the
made
rules?
Laura do
Can I
it
touch
every time.
anything?
Yeah, no. Whatever you touch, you have to move.
Oh! I missed it. Lost all my aura right at the end. 23.
23.
Let us see.
I'm Swordguy.
Hey.
All right, from Just Some Guy, 1991. Who is your favorite character that you have played outside of the 3 main Critical Role campaigns, either from one of the one-shots or even from a home game?
Favorite one shot, specifically one shot, or just outside of main campaign?
Outside of the 3 main Critical Role campaigns,
Outside of
either
Pike,
from one of the
Yasha,
one-shots or even
and
from a home game.
Fern.
I'm gonna go with, because I actually really liked the build and I feel like I didn't really get a chance to get into it, was Damien from Darrington Brigade.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Damien
fun
was
character.
a fun character and a very, very fun build and fun backstory that we didn't get to.
I love all my small characters so much. The way I'll answer this question is I'll say that also from Darrington, I really miss Buddy the Ogre. Just because, I think for a while before the world was beset with pandemic, we thought we were going to be spending more time with Darrington. And I was like, this is my goofball character. This is my grog. This is my jester. I'm going to have fun. And I did. And then we didn't do it anymore.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
And I had already, and Orem was
COVID.
planned so far in advance, and I was not going to veer off of Orem, who is not a goober. So I've lost my shot at my goober.
Are you saying the world took your joy
Saying
away?
that in your outfit,
I mean, didn't it?
Ding.
Didn't it?
I lost my shot at my
Didn't
goober.
it take yours away too?
Yeah.
Yes.
My favorite was Dink from the Legend of Zelda one
Yes.
shot.
That
Yeah,
That was a good one shot.
I remember when you like timidly asked me if I would want to do a one shot, and you were like, "It's Legend of Zelda themes," and I was like, "Look at my arm!" I was like, "Yes!" And my scariest moment was pitching Dink to the production team, and I was like, "He's a Goron, but he's gonna be dressed pretty much like Link," and they're like, "Nintendo's gonna say no," and they're like, "Nintendo said yes!" It was such a
Force of nature that.
oh
That was
my
so
god, what a fun game! It's fun to do some goof 'em ups sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, I don't get to play very often, but I do think back to the Escape from the Bloodkeep that I did with Dimension 20 under Brennan, where I got to play essentially my disaster gay Nazgul character. Like, it was great. It was all the whole. I don't know if you saw any of the series. It was essentially like all of us were playing more or less like villains under Sauron, but the story begins as they're all planning to take over the world, and then the ring gets destroyed and Sauron loses. And so the game begins with like basically Mordor crumbling around us and trying to figure out what to do. And my character, who was a powerful 17th level, like Hexblade Warlock, was just like a badass character, but I rolled so poorly the whole game that he just became like just this butt of every joke, this character that failed at everything he did, and was just this sad sack of a man, a ghost man. And it was wonderful, to the point where he got the shit beat out of him by what was essentially Samwise Gamgee repeatedly, who was apologizing to him as he was beating him up, like, "I'm so sorry, I'm just..." I'm like, come on! It was great.
Oh my
I had so
God,
much
I
fun with the
wanna
character,
watch
I really
this.
did.
Man.
It was fun.
Very fun. Are we supposed to do more or less?
Supposed to do more.
Who's the
I think you should
timekeeper?
pick another one. You didn't
Again?
pick one.
You're giving double punishment? Okay, I'll do it.
All right.
Must be the wig.
I'll leave it up
think
to
it
you.
is.
Gotta be the
man.
wig.
I'm not a timekeeper. Y'all
Pick
do what
another
you want.
one. Speak to the manager. It's a Karen
Oh.
wig. That's what's happening. So scary. Karen / Children of the Corn.
Oh my goodness.
You are a brave man.
Truly.
37.
27.
37.
47.
37. All right, that's it for me. I'm out.
Okay.
The rest of us get one each.
No.
We don't need to do that.
Yeah, we'll do lightning round.
Two to
Juniper
three.
the Writer 22 on Instagram. If your character could wild shape like Fern, what weird or wacky animal would they turn into?
Oh.
And Ashley, you can pick either Yasha or Pike.
Okay. What about like myself, Ashley?
Or just you.
Okay.
I would answer for me.
I'm gonna answer for me too.
Yeah, let's do that. Great question. We're gonna tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
What animal would we
Yeah,
us
because
ourselves?
Caleb did turn into.
Wow.
Ashley.
It would be so fun to turn into animals.
Yeah.
Really, truly, I would be stoked.
We'll stop your list.
Something that could fly, to start. You have something?
I would probably. I'd probably go with like a red-tailed hawk or something.
Cool.
Something that has a large enough wingspan that could ride like the upper winds, and that perspective up top would be incredible.
How cruel of the gods to make a hairless primate creature that instinctively all we want to do is fly and it
I
won't
know,
let
we
us.
can't.
Why? It's
I
all
know,
so
it's
real.
cruel.
That's why we made the ornithopter.
I'm same though. I'm a big bird guy, and I'm like an omens guy too. But I kind of want to be an ill omen just to fuck with people. So like I really love in American lore the owl,
The
and it's
owl
also
is-
the owl is just a terrifying creature. It flies silently. It's an apex predator. It barfs out the bones and beaks of its enemies.
badass.
And so much of my life is like being a dad and you gotta go potty kid and like taking care of people. And then at night I could just turn into a terrifying murder machine. Sounds amazing. Sounds
I
great. And I
love
get
that.
to
I
love
fly.
this idea.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That's a great
That's the
answer.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even split between a flying squirrel, so I could be like, sail! And a full silverback gorilla a la Caleb.
I was gonna-
like
yeah.
to be a big, powerful primate and be able to like climb up a tree like it's nobody's business, and then just
That's
like,
cool.
you know, let out pent up aggression. Not that I have any.
This is fantasy.
A
What about
gorilla is
a
high up
flying
there.
gorilla that's got skin folds?
Sail!
Yeah.
800 pounds? No.
He's at Peregrine Falcon speeds.
Just whipping it down.
I'll say they only fly once.
Yeah.
Glass of water.
Yep.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Oh man.
What you got?
Yeah, come on. You're the
Yeah,
biggest animal
gorilla
lover.
was up there.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love gorillas. I just love. Oh, I think they're so cool. My dream is to be held by a gorilla, like I'm its baby. Yeah, but
You heard
I
it
know
here,
that.
folks. If any of you out there can help us make this dream
but
come
I
true.
would never, I'm not. I would never go visit those places where you can see them up close. I don't think.
Kyle, bring him out.
No, I don't want any of that.
Talking about how
Yeah.
people should not mix with certain animals.
No, we shouldn't, and I don't want to. I don't have a. I mean, just in like a fantasy world
Sure.
of just
sure.
like being able to just live with
Just
them.
to clarify, don't throw you into the gorilla
Never.
enclosure.
Please
Okay,
do
all right,
not.
I got it.
Please do
I
not.
got it.
I don't believe in that shit of like keeping them in captivity, any of that. But yeah, gorilla's really high up there. I think just because it would be cool to feel so powerful, and also like a jaguar, so you could like run super crazy fast. I feel like that'd feel.
Yeah, I don't really want to pick. I just want to be Keyleth and just be able to
I
go-
wouldn't want. It's too hard to pick. There's so many animals that I think would be so fun.
Big cats, though. Big cats. Are
Big
fun.
cats would be cool. Yeah.
Even goldfish has got its perk.
Even a goldfish has perks. Swimming around in the water.
That's nice.
Not a lot of
Yeah.
baggage.
Yeah, you don't have to think about much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's true. Breaks
I-
water well? No.
A fainting goat.
Fainting.
Make people laugh. Yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I'd really like to be a long-haired miniature doc.
Yeah. I mean, and a dog would be so fun too, and you get riches.
I miss my dog.
I feel like we're all dressed as different things this evening. We've just discussed the different things that we could be. Joy has been sucked out of Liam's life.
Yeah.
My ogre's gone.
Oh no, let's bring him back.
My baby ogre.
Bring Yoga back. We'll figure
He's
something
such a
out.
sweet
Yeah,
boy.
yeah.
He's a
He's
sweet
such a sweet boy.
But this has been like super fun. I think it's a good spot to let this lazy Halloween
Go.
go.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We want to say thank you to Just Some Guy, 1991, and Juniper, the writer. And again, if you have questions for our Tower of Inquiry, you can enter them at critroll.com/tower. Now I get why you do that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's it. That is it for Lazy Halloween Four-Sided Dive Special. We want to thank our guests, Ashley Johnson, Liam O'Brien, Matthew Mercer. Why am I reading your names? And our lore keeper, Danny Carr.
Yes.
I'm Robbie Daymond, your 28th tavern keeper.
Grr.
And I guess that's the outro.
Cool, man. Whatever. That's fine.
Cool beans.
Friends around the table, time to celebrate. It's a party, hit the lights, here we go. Waste the night away with a little escape. It's a chance to lose control. So let's just leave this world behind. Everybody come on, take a dive. One by one we roll the dice, come on. Critical role. Pour another round, your friends are here to cheer you on. Throw it back, it's good times all night long. Critical role. No way to lose when you're having this much fun. It's your turn. No way to lose when you're having this much fun.
I'm gonna try. One
We
stupid.
just sit-
I'm gonna bonk Ashley in the head. I feel like I'm going
Let me put my costume back on.
I would like to try.
Oh dear.
What I'm doing? No!